it's me, Michaela, and Toby's laying on the floor back here moping. So today, I'm here to tell you the story about the time my service dog got attacked at college. That was a pretty hefty statement in itself. So basically, I work in one of the older buildings on campus. The elevator is older, so it doesn't really work, and most of the building is not ADA compliable, which is frustrating. Fix it. I'm kidding. They were working on it, and then the pandemic hit, and now I don't know if it's still in the budget. But anyways, I work in the basement of that building, and I work in the computer lab for the education majors. So basically, I sit at the computer lab, and Toby goes under the desk, and I help people that come up to me, or I go ask people if they need help, and we were putting on special programs and things like that. So one day I was coming to work. I came in the building, and I came down the stairs, and there's two different hallways by the elevator. So if you can imagine, like, there's a hallway going this way. Let's see if I can balance. Wow, so cool. So imagine this little black mouse is the elevator, and these are two hallways. I went down this hallway to attempt to get to work, which was on this side of the building. And there's the elevator, and then there's like bathrooms, so it's this chunk of hallway. I am telling this story. Do you need to be here? Yeah, we'll be here. So little did I know that on the other side of the hallway was an individual with a black lab that was on slip lead. Slip leash. That was on a slip leash. So basically it's one of those leashes where it, like, you could basically do it without the little connector thing, but basically you like loop it around, and it's not like it connects to anything. It's like that is the thing that connects. So when we rounded the corner, there were a bunch of people already standing by this individual with the dog, because they were like petting the dog. It was like, oh, there's a dog in here, that's so cute. And this isn't the first time that I've seen pets brought into the building. There have been students that bring pets into the building, and then Toby gets on edge, and I calm him down, because like, even though Toby isn't like dog reactive per se, he is very in tune to the environment. So when there's a dog, usually his hair will stand up, and he'll be like, I know what's going on here, I just want to play with a friend. And his hair didn't really stand up when this happened. And the weird thing is, when we were coming down the stairs, he was very like, let's go back upstairs. Normally, he's really good about going to work because he loves my coworkers. He loves them a lot. And so it was really weird, because he was just like, I want to go back upstairs. He was turning around. He wouldn't quite do his circle, which is kind of basically like his orbit. Like some people do orbit, he does circle, because I'm very original and creative. So when we came from this way, the other dog came in from this way. Maybe Brielle can edit something special in here. Maybe she can do something, but my hands are the best I can do. The dog came this way, and Toby was immediately like, oh my gosh, a friend. So he was like wagging his tail. He was getting really excited, and his dog came at him and showed his teeth, and Toby was immediately like, fuck. So I immediately, as the protective mother hen I am, bear hugged him. And in order to bear hug him, I had to get onto the floor, and because I was trying to change positions really, really quickly, I ended up blacking out. I don't necessarily remember what happened. I remember bits and pieces, which is why it's not like I fainted or anything, and I was like sitting up straight when I came to, but there is a gap of memory loss consciousness that I had I do remember it's me attempting to ask the individual if that was a service dog and where its leash and collar were, and then if it wasn't a service dog, it needed to leave the building, because that's just rote memory at this point. And like, Toby was really good once I bear hugged him, because he was like, I'm gonna hide and just be here. And the dog ended up being called off by his owner, and when I had attempted to ask the owner those questions, he walked away. And actually he ran, and his dog ran after him. So I had different groups of students coming up to me asking me if I was okay. So because my work is in a separate room, my boss ended up coming out, and he was like calling my name, and I wasn't really registering because I was kind of in that space where I'm like kind of memory loss, kind of blackout, you know, the amnesia thing. My boss had to call my name a couple times before I actually like came to and was like with it. I attempted to work for a little bit. Brielle came as soon as I texted her, and I had texted our trainer at the time, letting her know what happened. And so when Brielle came, she did a full check on Toby, and then because she also had called the police right when I had messaged her, which was very smart. Good job editing, Brielle. High five. Boom. So right after she did the full body check, she took Toby back to my dorm room, and she came back with, I believe she came back with the police officer. Maybe she came a little before. I don't remember. Again, I don't really remember this day a lot because it was kind of traumatizing. So basically the police officer came and took information, and he didn't really understand the service dog laws. He had this argument about how all pets must be leashed, and that sometimes is against the ADA depending on the dog's task. And even though Toby was leashed, there was the argument about the e-collar, and Brielle was trying to inform the officer, and we just didn't feel like arguing, because the more you argue with the police officer, the more trouble you're in. So I did end up calling about a week later, and then about 2 weeks later. The first time I called, they didn't give me an answer at all. The second time I called, they told me they didn't find anything and just left it alone. I did end up letting my disability coordinator know, and I did let the ADA coordinator know for the campus. And yeah, that was kind of where it was left at. Toby didn't really have any injuries per se. And we did check with his trainer at that time, his reactivity around black coated dogs specifically, and dogs of that size, and he's fine now. But it was really scary, and you know, there's times where dogs start barking on the street where he kind of goes, "Aah!" So it definitely affected him, and it definitely really affects me to this day, because you never know when a dog is going to jump out at you and your dog, and that's really scary. Anyways, that is the really quick story about how my service dog got attacked. If I have any advice for people who come visit campus with their animals, even though it's not legal. Like, okay, you can walk your pet on campus grounds, but to bring a pet into buildings is technically illegal, maybe? I don't know. Brielle knows. She'll tell me yes or no. But it's not right, and there are service dogs on college campuses that help disabled people that could get attacked by your pet. So if I have any advice for the person, it's that you need to leash your dog next time. You might still have a stern talking from me as to following the ADA, but I mean, as long as your dog's not attacking mine next time, maybe I'd be okay. But this dog was not leashed, it didn't have a collar, there was no identification, nothing. So, and don't run away from the scene. Like, and it was frustrating because we thought it was a professor, and then we found out it wasn't, because there were a lot of students around him to start with, and we asked a couple of students, and they were like, no. So it was really weird that someone would just bring their pet. But the thing about that building is that there's a counseling lab on the 5th floor. So people from the community do come, and some end up bringing their pets. So advice for the campus, I would evaluate your policy about community members coming to the counseling center, and specifically if they're allowed to bring pets or not, and then they need to communicate that with their clients. Campus needs to get better about making sure service dogs don't get attacked, because this isn't the first time. I'd love to sit down with Brielle and just sit there and talk about those times where dogs have nearly lunged at us, and these are also service dogs that we have on campus. So it's frustrating and it's really upsetting. Like, there have been a couple service dogs that have tried to get at me and Toby on campus, and that's really frustrating. And one more change I would ask the school to implement is to put a camera in that area, because in the area that we were attacked, because that's a pretty high frequency area, and for them to say, oh, we don't have a camera there, that's pretty crazy. So I'd recommend putting in a camera there. That's kind of it. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you whenever we make next. Bye!